I will do whatever it takes to save our legal system among the greatest achievements of Western civilization, from the Marxist barbarians who seek to destroy it,
Donald Trump just announced that when he becomes president, he's going to make it his personal mission to de-weaponize the weaponized Soros-run injustice system and give the real scales of justice a little reset.
There is no more dire threat to the American way of life than the corruption and weaponization of our justice system, and it's happening all around us. If we cannot restore the fair and impartial rule of law, we will not be a free country. As president, it will be my personal mission to restore the scales of justice in America. We want fairness and equality under the law, and to that end, I will appoint U.S. attorneys who will be the polar opposite of the Soros district attorneys and others that are being appointed throughout the United States.
Trump also says that the current Marxist district attorneys will be investigated for civil rights violations and taken down.
They will be the 100 most ferocious legal warriors against crime and communist corruption that this country has ever seen. As we completely overhaul the Federal Department of Justice and FBI, we will also launch sweeping civil rights investigations into Marxist local district attorneys. And that's what we have. They're Marxists in many cases.
Welcome back to the High Impact Flicks channel. I've got more coming up for you, so stay tuned. I want to thank Noble Gold for sponsoring today's video. Most Americans don't own sound money. Sound money is defined by the Constitution as gold and silver. It's been accepted as sound money for over 5,000 years. And even though it's been artificially suppressed by the international banking cartel, it was the best performing investment class for 2022. In that year, the S&P was down 20%, the Dow was down 10%, and Bitcoin was down over 65%. Gold and silver outperformed them all. Open a gold or silver IRA with Noble Gold Investments this month and get this quarter-ounce American Gold Eagle for free with every qualified IRA of $50K or more. With thousands of 5-star reviews, there's a lot of happy people who are glad they went with Noble Gold. Check them out with my link in the description and in the pinned comment. Now, back to today's video. Trump says communist maniacs have taken over in cities across America and will face federal subpoenas to discover how badly they violated civil rights laws. He calls them Marxist barbarians.
By refusing to charge countless crimes, the Soros prosecutors appear to be engaging in selective enforcement based on illegal racial discrimination. In Chicago, San Francisco, Los Angeles, and every other city where these maniacs have taken over, the DA's offices should face federal subpoenas of their staff, their emails, and their records to determine whether they have blatantly violated federal civil rights law. As part of this effort, there should be a federal inquiry into the Soros prosecutor in Austin, Texas, who charged a veteran with murder for defending himself against a threat by a heavily armed member of a radical left mob. I will also order the Department of Justice to establish a task force on protecting the right to self-defense, which is under siege nationwide. In addition, we will have a complete investigation into the use of police state tactics by federal authorities to arrest conservatives and Christians. We will find out who ordered it, and we will hold them totally accountable. There is much more that we must do. We have to confront this radicalized law in schools. You take a look at what they've done to our schools, our beautiful schools. We have to reform the far-left bar associations and stop the purge of conservative lawyers from major law firms. I will do whatever it takes to save our legal system among the greatest achievements of Western civilization, from the Marxist barbarians who seek to destroy it. And we will do that. We will save it. Thank you very much.
While the dollar continues its slow slide into oblivion as more nations continue to dump the petrodollar, Senator Joe Manchin spends more taxpayer dollars to visit a propped up dictator. Manchin had the audacity to tweet, "In my lifetime, I've never seen the United States of America in a more just war." You know, those wars that always benefit banksters. Our purpose is to defend freedom and fight for democracy. And that's why we're supporting Ukraine every step of the way as they defend their country and their way of life.
Let me just say it's been an unbelievable meetings that we've been able to have and a visit to see up close and personal the determination and the skill and the will of the Ukrainian government and the Ukrainian people. And it's our pleasure to be able to give them all the support we possibly can, go back home to America, be able to explain our commitment, to basically show the support that we have and the commitment that we have to make sure that we're here for this entire fight and this entire victory that the Ukrainian people want, the Ukrainian government. We had great conversations with President Zelensky. We just finished up with him and all of his staff, been briefed all the way along. So I've told him in my lifetime I've never seen the United States of America in a more just war than what this one is. The purpose of America is to defend freedom and basically fight for the democracies that people have a desire to live in. And that's what we're doing. And we're in it to win it with them, and we'll give them all the support we need.
Translation, we're going to dump even more pallets of taxpayer cash at the doorstep of the most evil government in the world for the sake of the defense contractors. And now, a quick word from a Looney Tune.
So I shot a gun for the first time today, and I've always been told by Republicans that after the first time, I'll be in favor of guns and I'll want more guns. But for me, it was the exact opposite. I realized how powerful these guns are, and at a moment's notice, they can be used to take someone's life. And the fact that in many states in this country, you can walk into one of these stores and 10 minutes later walk out with an AR-15 is absurd. This experience made me want more gun control, not less.
Well, Billy Bob Thornton, it's like this. More gun control means more people control. And who do you want to control the guns? A government that you don't trust. And how are they going to enforce those gun control laws? By the barrel of a government gun. So really, you're not against gun violence. You just want the government to be in control of all the gun violence. And this is something I wanted to share with you because I wanted to get your take on it. It says Florida lawmakers pursue death penalty in child rapes. Now, there's a double-edged sword here because it turns out that if you put somebody on death row or keep them in prison for life as opposed to them being on death row awaiting execution, it's 10 times more expensive for taxpayers to keep a person on death row because of the appeal process and all this other stuff. And the general wait time for that death to actually occur, the average is 9 years. In a lot of cases, it's about 20 years. So really, you're keeping somebody alive for a decade or two while they got a death penalty conviction. It says in a move that likely would spur a constitutional fight, and I don't know why it would. If somebody is going to do you know what to a little kid, what do you think they deserve? I mean, if the hammer of justice is going to fall, it needs to fall speedily on especially this class of criminal. Florida lawmakers appear ready to pass a proposal that would allow the death penalty for people who commit sexual battery on children under age 12. I think what a lot of people assume is, oh, if there's a death penalty, then, they're going to be dead in a week. But like I said, it's going to take on average 9 years for them to exterminate this cockroach. The House is scheduled Thursday to take up its full version of the bill, HB 1297, while the Senate version, SB 1342, was approved on Tuesday by the Rules Committee, positioning it to go to the full Senate. The proposal comes decades after the U.S. Supreme Court and Florida Supreme Court rulings that have said it's unconstitutional to execute defendants in rape cases. It's unconstitutional. A Senate staff analyst said, nobody has been executed for a non-murder crime in the United States since 1964. In a rebuke of the court's precedents, the House and Senate bills say that a 1981 Florida Supreme Court case and a 2008 U.S. Supreme Court case were wrongly decided, with the Senate version saying, quote, such cases are an egregious infringement of the state's power to punish the most heinous of crimes. Senate bill sponsor Jonathan Martin, a Fort Myers Republican who is a former prosecutor, said the bill would create needed, quote, constitutional boundaries by providing a sentencing procedure for those heinous crimes that would be similar to the death penalty laws for murder. If an individual rapes an 11-year-old, a 10-year-old, a 2-year-old, or a 5-year-old, they should be subject to the death penalty. And there's this verse, I think it's in Ecclesiastes 9:11 or 5:11 or something like that, that says, when justice against an evil work is not executed speedily, therefore the hearts of the sons of men is fully set in them to do evil. I don't see how it can be justice when a person, an adult, does this to a little kid and is not taken care of immediately. Dragging this out for a month would be egregious enough, but 9 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, that's crazy. Not only that, not only do you have the victim that suffered at the hands of this evil person, but now you have the taxpayers who are going to have to give this guy 3 hots and a cot until the day he's gone. Aaron Waite, who represents the Florida Association of Criminal Defense Lawyers at Tuesday's meeting, said people want vengeance when children are victims of sexual battery, but he pointed to the U.S. Supreme Court precedent on the issue. Quote, this bill invites a longer, costlier legal process for the victim and their families that they will endure. And that's true. If the guy goes on death row as opposed to the sentence of life in prison, it's going to cost, like I said, 10 times more to keep this guy alive. And while he's alive. While this crime, anyone convicted of its vile heinous, the Constitution itself, the case law, the Supreme Court demands a maximum of life in prison. And so while it's not the vengeance we all want, it's the justice that the Constitution demands. And I would question if that's even justice at all. What do you guys think? Do you think it's just for a person to commit that kind of crime and then it takes months, years to get rid of this guy? I'm pretty convinced in my own heart that if somebody has reached a level to where they're going to do that to a kid, I don't see how a person like that is redeemable at all. You let me know what you think about that. Senate Minority Leader Lauren Book, a plantation Democrat who was sexually abused as a child, said, quote, there's no statute of limitations on the suffering of victims. She says, this is a life sentence that is handed down to young children. We're talking about the youngest of the young in this bills. I was one of those kids. I still to this day at 38 years old deal with the very, very real lasting effects of this crime. It never goes away. Sometimes you close your eyes and you see it. I don't get a chance to make it stop. That's the other aspect of how horrific this crime is. Not only is the deed done horrific enough and heinous enough in itself, but now the mind of this child, if the child stays alive, the mind of this child into adulthood and probably to their grave remembers these images, remembers what that adult did to them. And this messes not only them up for the rest of their lives, but anybody that they potentially have a relationship throughout the course of their life is messed up. This crime is so heinous and so egregious and has so many tentacles and long-lasting evil effects that I can't see how anybody would argue against handing down a death penalty for somebody who commits that kind of crime. With the caveat of, hey, if we issue the death penalty here, if we judge on the death penalty, then that person needs to be gone in less than a week. But what about the appeals process? If it is proven that this person committed that evil act, that person needs to be gone. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. If you haven't done so already, subscribe to this channel, hit the bell notification icon, give it a thumbs up, share it with everybody you know. Don't forget to subscribe to my email list through my website, highimpactflix.com. That's highimpactflix.com. Also subscribe to my Here's the Deal backup channel. That's my police accountability and public servant accountability channel. I think you'll find some videos on there that are very, very interesting, especially the last 3 or 4. I appreciate you guys. If you want to support the channel, the support links are in the description. You can also grab a hard-hitting conversation starting design from the store. You can put it on a shirt, hoodie, mug, cell phone case, whatever you want. I will see you in the next heavily censored shadow ban video. With all the crazy stated plans of the Great Reset, the currency reset, and even the food reset, it's not a matter of if the store shelves are going to clear and there's a lack of food. The question is when. You need to get long-term storable food. It doesn't matter if it's from me or you just go to the store and you buy food. Just grab dry, storable food while you can. If you want to get it from me, you're going to support the channel and you're going to help yourself out because my link has a discount code embedded within it. You can check that out in the description below.